Okay, so for this project, we're gonna go in portrait style. So we're using the Tallway portrait. In the middle of my paper, which I'm just gonna try to guess, I want to do a square, a medium-sized square. I don't want this big one or this one. I wanna go here. We're just trying to guess where our middle is. That's probably good. I'm gonna do it really lightly. Remember, draw light until it's right. Okay. Now, I'm going to use a ruler and I'm gonna go at the corners and I'm gonna go straight out to the bottom of my paper. So you see I have my straight edge right up to that corner. I'm gonna go right to this corner on my bottom left side. Make sure it's straight on both sides. You're gonna make sure you really hold it down with this other hand that I'm not using to draw with. I push pressure down to keep it there. And I draw my line against my ruler, making a completely straight line. Now I'm gonna do that on the other side. Line it up to the edge on my corner. Same with at the bottom of my paper. Remember, hold it down with this hand that I'm not drawing with, my non-drawing hand. I push it down. And I draw right up against my ruler to get my flat edge. Do the same thing over here. It's easier for me to just flip my paper around. Same thing, corner of my square in the middle to the corner of my paper. Hold it down with this non-drawing hand. Line straight up and draw. And then one more time with my last corner. Line it up. Make sure both edges are where you want them to be, because sometimes when I move this one and I get it straight, then this one's not. So then I have to move it up here. That might move this one up here. So now I gotta straighten it out, make sure both of them are straight. And now draw my line. So now I have a paper that should look like this. All right, make sure that your paper is back in portrait style. If you can see if there's your top or your bottom section is bigger or smaller than the other, it doesn't really matter which section you decide to do. I have a slightly bigger section down here than my top, just because my square wasn't directly in the middle. So I'm gonna use the bottom section as my bigger section, because that's gonna become my road. So first, you're gonna get your palette of paint and we're gonna paint the left side section with yellow. It's always easier to just start with the outside edge. I'm just pulling straight down. And then fill in later. Same thing here. I'm going right up to the edge of my line. Try your best to not go on the outside of that line that you drew. And now I'm gonna paint in the middle. You don't need that much paint. All right, good. So that's one side, my left side of my paper with yellow paint. On the right side of my paper, directly across from my yellow, I'm gonna do green. Again, line up my brush. If I go slowly, I can take my brush directly up. If I need more paint, I just flip it over and I keep going. When I dip my brush in, I'm just dipping the top part. Your paint shouldn't get on like your silver part at all. And then again, I'm just filling it in. I'm not gonna be too picky with this green because we are gonna do other colors on top. So it's all right if it's a little bit not painted perfect. If I have some gaps or white marks, that's okay. Again, it does not take a lot of paint. If you're running out of paint, look I still have it in my brush. So all I need to do is press down a little bit and then I can use the tip of my brush again because I just got some more paint out of it. Okay, so now you have your yellow section and your green section done. Next, you're gonna take some brown paint and just make a couple lines for trees because this is gonna be like Central Park over here. So I'm actually out of my brown liquid tempera paint, so I'm gonna let you guys use paint sticks. If I give you regular paint, same thing, you would just make straight lines. So the shorter lines need to be up here because it looks like it's farther away. My taller lines can be back here. So I'm just gonna go one line straight down, another one a little shorter, shorter, and maybe one more shorter. So not too many lines, just like that. Next, I'm going to take my paint and I'm going to do different areas around here that look like leaves. So I'm going to start with my orange first. I didn't even clean my brush between this section because I can have green in there too. So I'm barely, again, gonna touch my paint brush inside and I'm just gonna start doing dots all over. I'm still not pushing super hard. We don't want to smush our brush. Leaving some sections for my yellow. Now I'm going to go to my yellow. now I'm going to finish with some red. And now it looks like I have trees over here. The next area I'm going to paint is my sky. Before I do that, I'm going to take an eraser and just erase the top line right here. And now I'm going to take my blue. Again, just dipping the tip of your paintbrush in your paint. It's easier for me to work it the other way, so I'm going to flip it over. And I'm actually going to start at the bottom line. If you're not flipping your paper over, it's this line. So I'll do it normal first. Again, try your best to do a straight line with your paintbrush. Since this is a perspective painting, it's important to get those straight lines. Again, just right up to the edge. If I'm running out of paint, all I do is flip my paintbrush over, and then I have more to continue my nice straight line. Do the other side with a straight line. Sometimes when you first get paint on it, there's too much, so I kind of dab it other places. And then I'm gonna go nice and straight. I'm running out of paint. I flip my paintbrush over. And then I had enough. Now fill it in. You don't need that much paint. To this whole section, I probably dipped my paintbrush in like 3 or 4 times. Okay, so now we have this much going for us so far. Remember, between every color, we want to wash off our brush. Now for the street, I'm going to use black. This is super important to do nice and straight because you cannot cover black with another color. Take your time. Nice straight lines. Flip your paintbrush over if you're running out of paint. And now fill the inside. Try to go in the same direction with your paintbrush. Your black may need 2 coats. You can kind of see that mine isn't fully black, a little splotchy. So I'm gonna go over with another coat. Again, being careful with my edges, making sure they're nice and straight. While I have my black out, I'm going to go ahead and make little windows over here because these are going to be my buildings. So just going to barely dip in to my black, and I'm just going to do little squares or rectangles. Then I'm going to try to get smaller as I go towards the center because they're farther away. So I'm gonna, as I get smaller, I'm gonna have to push less on my brush. And now I'm getting really close to the inside, so I wanna maybe just use the corner of my brush. Trying to keep that square shape the best that I can. Now that our paper is dry, I'm going to take a yellow paint stick or regular paint if that's what I give you, and we're gonna add down the middle of the street, the street lines, as I get closer to the middle, I'm gonna make them smaller. Mine was not perfectly down the middle, and that is okay. Now I'm going to take my white paint stick, or paint again, and I'm gonna do we'll say about 8 dots total down here. So we're gonna do and then I'm gonna top them with some red. So these are going to be the people that are holding the balloon down. And in parades, you'll notice that they have lines of different people for the different things that are coming through. So like which I'm making, Snoopy is one of them. The one before it might have been a different balloon or a band or something like that. So we're going to make the ones in front of it something else, like a different color. Again, as I get farther away, they get a little smaller, just to give it something there. With these paint sticks, you might have to go over it twice, because on this black paint, it's just not showing up very well, but that's fine. On the side of the streets, we're gonna add some people. So I'm gonna first start with some white dots. Just kind of spread out all over. On both sides. These are gonna be the people who are watching the parade. You don't have to be too accurate with these, just don't make them very big. And then I want some other colors sprinkled in on the side. Do some red. That red is really popping. We're just doing little dots. I'll do some orange just to pull in my trees on my other side as well. Again, just little dots to represent the people who are watching the parade on the side. Okay. Next, I'm going to take my paper and just put it to the side, and I've already drawn. If you haven't drawn yet, this is your time to draw your balloon. So I've already drawn it. I traced it with Sharpie, and then I erased over the top. So now I'm just going to do my best to cut around it. It's okay if some spots I leave some white spaces, like here, because the eyebrow is off of his face. I'm just gonna go around the eyebrow. Okay, so now I have my Snoopy. I gotta figure out if I want him more on this side or this side. It doesn't really matter. I don't want him straight in the middle. I think I'm gonna go a little bit over here. And I need to figure out how tall I want him up there. I think I'm gonna go about here. So then when I draw my lines attached to him, they're gonna go to the white and red dots. So if you think that's a good spot, you're gonna get your glue. Turn it over. Make sure you're gluing all the way to the edges. If those edges start to pop up, the rest of it might pop up later when it dries. So make sure you get a lot of glue on here, all around. Place them right there and hold it down with my hand and count to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Looks good. So my very last step, I need to attach strings to what the people are holding Snoopy with. So I need one at least up here. I'm just gonna try my best to do a straight line. Doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe one here. I'd say another one right here. And one up here. And now your Snoopy is done. If I did want to add one more, I could. I could add one like to his hand. I'm gonna go straight down to there.